Hello, hello. My name is Rap for No Reason, and welcome to the second episode of the Weekly Waffle, a YouTube series that might as well be called a podcast. In this episode, we have a few topics, but our main discussion will be how to enjoy playing old school RuneScape again. If you guys do enjoy this sort of content, or any of the other content I produce, feel free to drop a sub because I am on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and your support would mean the world to me. Once I reach 1,000 subs, I'll start working on a 1,000 subscriber special where I put my hardcore Ironman status on the line, doing something that only a small number of hardcore Ironmen have ever attempted and only a handful have ever completed. If this is something you're interested in, be sure to subscribe to your boy. Before we get into any of the topics today, I want to let you guys know that I'm making a Discord. It's not quite finished yet, but my overall intent with making this Discord server is to have a place where I can communicate with all of you on varying levels and slowly create a community. It'll take time, but all good things come with time. Alright, in our first segment before any of the topics we're discussing, the question of the week. This will be our first official segment for every episode of the Weekly Waffle going forward. I think it'd be a fun way to start every video, and honestly, the more engagement you get, the wider audience will reach. So, our question of the week is, what would you change about Varlamore? Varlamore, in general, will be our main topic next week, so I'm curious to know what some of your thoughts are while I prepare that video. Alright, it's time to finally get onto the main topic of our video. How to enjoy playing old school RuneScape again. Now, as a disclaimer, everything in this video is subjective, and it's all based on my own opinions and experiences. You might disagree, and that's okay, because things like this aren't universal. If you do disagree with the stuff I'm saying, feel free to tell me, I'm stupid, and why I'm wrong. We can have a discussion about it in the comments. But alright, my first piece of advice is to focus on the experience of everything and not just the end result. Oftentimes, we get so hung up on results that we completely disregard the hours we spent beforehand. A great example of this is getting a skill cape. It's an achievement, and of course it's something to be proud of, but there's such a large variety of training methods for almost every skill nowadays that we can really enjoy the grind. Thieving recently became a fantastic example of this. The new Varlamore Thieving method is a low intensity method that doesn't require many inputs, and it's still decent XP. Arty Knights are basically the new middle ground that requires a moderate amount of effort, as you're clicking quite a bit, and the XP rates are kind of in the middle, maybe a little more in the upper echelon, but still. And Blackjacking, they would be the highest intensity method, and for their levels, they're usually the highest XP you can get, but it requires a lot of inputs. As you can see, there's something for everyone, and you can mix it up depending on how you're feeling too. You aren't bound to one area. And this kind of segues into my next pieces of advice. Stop trying to play the game like everyone else. Just because your friend or favorite content creator or guide maker likes playing one way, doesn't mean you'll enjoy that experience too. People are complicated. What's fulfilling to one person won't be fulfilling to another. Some people, they love overcoming PvM challenges. The Infernal, they loved it, but some people hate that. Some people like hunting rare drops, some people enjoy skilling and seeing their resources pile up. Some people like being self-made, and most people like a little bit of everything. Point is, you're a person, and your preferences will vary, sometimes even changing day to day. And I'm not telling you not to put value in guys or your friends' advice, but don't lose your individuality and just go along with what everyone else says. That said, try and set your own unique goals. One of my clanmates recently got the lowest level quest cape after beating Desert Treasure 2. And that isn't a new feat. Many people have done it before. And personally, I don't even care. But this was a massive achievement to him. He treats the account as like a trophy, and he basically only skills now. So we just have a fundamental difference in playstyle and different goals for ourselves. And that's okay. For example, my overall goal is to max as a hardcore Ironman. Again, not the most unique goal, but it's unique to me because I've never done it before. It's exciting to me. I'm kind of carving out my own path. But with all that being said, once I reach 1,000 subscribers, I might not be a hardcore Iron Man for much longer, so be sure to subscribe to see my inevitable demise. My next piece of advice isn't too far from the others, but it's simply to stop trying to play the game at maximum efficiency unless you genuinely enjoy playing the game like that. And if you're playing the game like this, I want you to seriously ask yourself this. Is this really enjoyable? Do you actually like tick manipulation? Do you really like making lava runes or blackjacking? Is 2-tick woodcutting really fun for you? If the answer is yes, then I'm glad you enjoy it. If the answer is no, just stop or do it every now and then. There's no reason to force yourself into something you don't enjoy just because it's optimal. And if you don't like the skill altogether, just do it here and there. Don't do it at all. No one is forcing you to get 99 woodcutting if you don't enjoy it. No one is forcing you to get a max save. No one is forcing you to get an achievement diary. There's more to the game than skill capes and all of this. My overall point is that the only thing you're really accomplishing by playing as optimally as you can at all times, or by doing things you don't really enjoy, is burning out. Try different methods and spice it up. Maybe you enjoy being laid back and watching YouTube videos while AFKing. Maybe you like blasting music while tick manipulating. Maybe you just need variety to stay engaged. You'll never know if you don't try. And regardless, no matter what you prefer, you'll even burn out and stop enjoying the things that you do enjoy if you do them too much. It's like listening to your favorite song on repeat. Eventually, you suck the joy out of it by listening to it too many times, and everything in old school RuneScape, or even everything in life, is exactly the same. Piggybacking off of all this, don't treat guides like they're sacred texts that you have to follow or else. Guides are meant to guide you in a certain direction, teach you how to do stuff, or just throw information out there. But a lot of people mindlessly follow guides and put way too much value in the information. It's gotten to the point where players treat anything but the most optimal routes within a guide as XP waste, a waste of time, and dead content. It's gonna sound weird, but it's almost like guides are playthroughs for people nowadays where their experience is essentially the same as the guide makers. The biggest culprit of this are Iron Man efficiency guides. My god, Iron Man efficiency guides irk me in particular because this is exactly what's encouraged, following a playthrough. And there's definitely a lot of good information in those guides, but I've talked to so many people that just basically mimic the guide verbatim and they don't bother with anything else. They're barely experienced in the game for themselves, and they don't even know if they like certain content because it was deemed dead content or inefficient by someone else. What's the point in playing a single player mode if you're not gonna make your own path? It just seems so silly to me. Another thing to really keep in mind with these guide makers is that most of them haven't even done the grind they're suggesting you do, only pieces of it. For instance, one of the biggest old school RuneScape guide makers and one of the most quote-unquote informative old school RuneScape YouTubers is Theoatrix. Now, I don't like Theoatrix, and the only thing I respect about him is his grind and the way he presents his content. The production of his videos are pretty good, but that's about it. Now, to give you guys a little bit of a backstory of Theoatrix, he started making generic money-making guides in 2016, basic stuff which was fairly popular at the time. But in 2017, he started making skilling guides on how to get 99 in pretty much every skill. This bothered me so much because Theoatrix was 1700 total level. He didn't have a 99. Well, actually, that might not be true. He might have had 99 cooking, but the point still stands. He was basically just copying and pasting information you'd find on Reddit or the wiki and putting it in a video without really partaking in the grinds himself. And just to kind of prove that to you guys, on the screen is a graph showing his total level from a semi-popular website called Crystal Math Labs. And it dates back to 2017, when he started making the guides. Now this is public information, you can check it out for yourself, and you can even start tracking your own account as well by creating a data entry point. And I do recommend everyone does that, but that's a subtopic for another video. So most of Theoatrix's videos don't include a lot of the key information you'd like to know because he hasn't done it himself. including like all the nuances of it all. Because if you do something, there's going to be like nuances, there's going to be certain situations that most players would really like to know. And if you go to the comment sections of a lot of his videos, the comment sections, they point out missing informations, and sometimes they even point out the XP rates that he's advertising for the skill are wrong for the activity within the skill. In a skilling guide. It's not just his videos though, it also extends to his website as well, which, by the way, isn't it kind of stupid to make a website explaining your videos in text form when the wiki already does that? I mean, you're pulling the information off the wiki and Reddit, but then you're just putting it on your website. Isn't that kind of dumb? Also, keep in mind, Theoatrix has been making guides since 2017 and he's still not maxed yet. And you know what, this is kind of turning me, it's kind of turning into me shitting on Theoatrix, and that's not my intention. My main point is that there are thousands of Theoatrixes out there that are profiting off of putting information out there, and some of them try to push a narrative of any activity that's not in the guide being awful and not worth your time. Even if they don't directly say it, they're basically telling you that if you don't follow the guide, you're wasting your time. So take what guide makers say with a grain of salt and use the information they provide as framework for you to cultivate your own experiences instead of holy words that you have to abide by. I promise, there's more to the game that you can enjoy that isn't in a guide. Like, I didn't even know that I actually enjoy aerial fishing because no one does it and no one talks about it because it's seen as being inefficient. So, to kind of summarize all my points, because I'm kind of saying the same message in a lot of different ways, do stuff that's enjoyable to you and don't just blindly follow other people's advice or the information they give you. It's a video game and not a second job. Try things out, experience everything the game has to offer, and decide for yourself how you want to do stuff. I mean, the entire point of playing video games is to have a fun time. If you followed the advice in this video, I promise, you'll actually enjoy playing the game. There is a lot that the game has to offer and it's pretty fun. And if you tried everything I said and you still don't feel like you're enjoying the game, maybe it's time for you to take a break. Play other games, spend time with your family, and then come back and see if old school RuneScape is still for you. And if it isn't for you anymore, I promise, you didn't waste your time. Your interests just changed and moving on to something else is definitely the move now. Also, if you're the friend or clanmate that tells other people that they're stupid if they don't play the game the way you do, get off your high horse and realize that there's more ways to play the game. Sometimes you might disagree and you have to take a step back and just say to each their own, because it's a fundamental difference in what's fulfilling to each person. And to be clear too, there's a big difference between telling someone how to do an activity efficiently and to just do something for the sake of efficiency. I don't want you guys to think that I'm yelling at you if you're just trying to help your friends out. Alright, we waffled quite a bit about that, but I just feel very strongly about this, and I promise it's not just because I dislike Theoatrix. It's just people don't have to understand or like the way you play the game. For example, I've been doing breaking and entering for an upcoming video, and a lot of people have questioned me and said that me training thieving in Varlamore, or even in general past 99 is a waste. But honestly, I like the activity. It's a nice, chill activity that I like to do. I enjoy the time that I'm spending on it. And it's weird how hard it is for some people to understand that. But anyways, on to my next and final piece of advice on how to enjoy playing OSRS again. Join a clan. I feel like I say this so much. Join a clan, please. Join a community, make friends, talk on Discord. It really makes the game way more entertaining. You know, you're cutting redwoods and you're bored, hop on Discord and crack open a cold one with the boys. You want to PVM with other people? Join a clan. You want help, tips, or advice? Subscribe to me and then join a clan. You know, having a sense of community and camaraderie, it really makes you value the time you spend on old school RuneScape significantly more. So if you've been a lone wolf, or even if you're an Ironman and never even bothered because your entire gameplay is based on standing alone, consider joining the clan. It really will make your experiences so much better. Alright, and that's pretty much it for the main topic of today's video. I also wanted to talk about how big of a month March was for my channel and the lessons I kind of learned from my last video which performed pretty poorly, which was the first episode of the Weekly Waffle. But first up, let's talk about March. March has been absolutely crazy for me. This was my first month surpassing 1,000 views on a single video, and one of the videos I created reached almost 19,000 views. But it wasn't just by chance that some of my videos performed pretty well. Early on in March, I quickly realized that YouTube content was in this really weird dead patch type feel where you're anticipating a lot of content to be released, but for some reason, no one was covering the Varlamar blog. I mean, I know a lot of people did earlier, but it wasn't gonna you weren't gonna get a lot of attention for it unless you did it closer to the release. So this was the perfect time to do it, about, a week to a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks before the release. Personally, I feel like this was a massive blunder by every big content creator. I mean, they didn't have to do what I did where, I went in depth. All they had to do was release a video saying, they're hyped for the new expansion, the Coliseum, and that they'd be streaming everything on day one, and they would have gotten so many views. It's an easy paycheck, and it would have created a larger audience for the day one release on their streams. But for some reason, most of the big content creators, they weren't hyping up Varlamar. It was just this weird void of content. I still don't understand. Truthfully, this was an opportunity for a lot of up-and-coming YouTubers to step up and get a lot more publicity. And that's exactly what I aimed at doing. I mean, I was already starting to just throw shit at the wall and see what stuck, so I viewed this as an opportunity to grow my channel. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. So on March 7th, I started production on one of my most successful videos yet, Varlamar Sounds Insane. I spent roughly 40 hours and 3 days writing a script, rewriting the script, rewriting the script again, recording audio, and then rewriting the scripts more, then re-recording the audio until I was satisfied with it. And it still wasn't exactly what I wanted, but the message came across well enough that I accepted it. Then I immediately went into editing. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't crazy editing or anything, but there's a lot of media used in a 40-minute video. It's just one of those things that take a lot of time. But boy, am I glad I took all that time. After 4 days of non-stop work, and I mean 13 to 16 hours each day, it was finished and I uploaded it. I managed to upload it about a week before Varlamar's released, which was okay timing. I wish I could have gotten it out sooner, because I knew it would be a dated video, and what I mean by that is it wouldn't be too relevant after Varlamar's release, because it's like a pre-release blog that I was talking about and a lot could change. But either way, making this video was the best decision of my YouTube career as of right now. Just so you guys understand, I was only expecting to maybe get 2,000 viewers if I was lucky. I did have a strategy in place. I knew that I would get more viewership than normal, but I didn't expect what would happen next. And just to also say this, I was at 128 subscribers before the video. Now I posted the videos a few hours before going to sleep, and it had less than 50 viewers at the time. Even when I woke up, I saw I only had about 100, 150 views. I kind of just assumed it was another flop, and it's time to go back to the drawing board and figure out something else. But then, the video suddenly started to skyrocket. That same day before I went to sleep, the video went from 150 viewers to 10,000 views. In the next couple days, it slowly and steadily reached its peak of 18,800 views. And I think that it kind of peaked at a certain point because after a few days, some other content creators started to post pre-release Varlamar content too, and my videos started to have more competition from small but still established creators. The video performed so well for the size of my channel that's absolutely ridiculous. Even though the video says in the analytics I gained 330 subs, it's more like I gained about 500. It even drew a lot of attention towards my Hardcore Iron Man series, nearly doubling the number of views over time on my last episode. It was amazing, and it was such a drastic change that I was honestly overwhelmed. I mean, off of one video, I met the requirements to become a YouTube partner. And I wanted to immediately capitalize off this attention, but I got COVID right after I posted videos, so I was dying for a few days. Eventually, I posted a few videos that performed pretty well. I mean, I went from getting 100, maybe 500 viewers at most, to getting 2,000 views on my recent videos. Obviously, it's not nearly the level of success on my Varlamore Sounds Insane video, but I'm still like extremely happy with getting 2,000 views on my videos right now. And, you know, my plan, it was pretty simple. Farm as much Varlamore content as I could. But unfortunately, on the release of Varlamore, I picked the literal worst grind. The worst grind possible for content. Definitely shot myself in the foot with this one. I decided to dive head on into the new Varlamore thieving method. I knew Varlamore thieving would be a two-part activity, so I wanted to make 2 separate videos about it, which I'm still in the process of. I committed 10 hours to pickpocketing wealthy citizens, and I planned on using all the house keys as fast as I could, then I wanted to move on to more content. Unfortunately, before anyone really knew or the wiki was ever updated, I got 2,000 house keys on day 1 of Varlamore release. Then I found out you can only use 19 keys per hour. You know, I memed a bit in the video, but I was honestly freaking out at first. It's like my plans to try and capitalize off of Varlamore content to grow my channel got destroyed. And I could have just made other content and then used all the house keys, but I already made the first part of the video, and delaying the second part just for views didn't really sit right with me. So I'm still working on that video. It's taken me a total of roughly 110 to 115 hours to use all the house keys. I'm just happy it's a chill grind and I'm getting a lot out on the hardcore. I've also been able to work on the weekly waffle on the side too, so that's nice. To kind of wrap up this whole discussion about March and how amazing it was, I think it's only right I talk about the first episode of the weekly waffle. It flopped. Well, it flopped in comparison to all the other videos I posted recently. I mean, I was getting used to getting a normal viewership of 2,000 to 2,500 views. And then this stinker came in and it's sitting right at 300 views. To put it simply, I dropped the ball in this video. The video received an exceptionally low view time of 21%, or a 6-minute viewer average out of 29 minutes. A video that's gotten this level of viewership is seen as a bad video in the YouTube algorithm, and it won't be pushed out to a wider audience, which, I mean, fair. It made me question a lot of things, like, was this actually a bad video? So the first thing I questioned was, is the premise of the video bad? And I don't think it is. It's basically a video saying the integrity and various other parts of RuneScape are being killed by bots, and that this would be the inevitable demise of RuneScape. And I don't think a lot of people really disagree with that message, and most people would agree with the information I presented. But the way I presented it was pretty subpar. From the way I organized the script to the delivery itself, I dropped the ball. You know, it was an astronomical flop by your boy. You know, looking back at it now, I should have given more consideration to how I presented everything. You know, I basically acted like I was talking on stream but scripted. Like, who am I? Asmongold? And I don't even know what my obsession was with doing the entire script in one go and having it be perfect in that one go. It was just odd. I put so much pressure on myself to make it perfect that I ended up re-recording for like 4 hours until I got that video as my final result. Like, it wasn't bad, but a lot of the times I ended up sounding like I was frantic and even incoherent because I kept doing it over and over and over again. It was bordering awful because it just sounds like a frantic rant. So I can kind of understand why it didn't get much view time. So I'm gonna try and roll with the mistakes to a reasonable extent, and I'm not gonna try to forcefully one type of script. You know, I'm pretty sure you guys probably don't even care about like the video or the audio cutting out here and there, as long as like it's coherent and it's just a higher quality video. Some of you might not even notice. Like, this video has like 15 different recordings, and like I'm reading off a script, but like it's not all in one go. It's like areas of it. It's segmented. And some of you guys might not even know that. So if I'm gonna make a series, I need to be all in on this series and think about things a bit more than I already am. I need to be a bit more thorough. Like, this is kind of supposed to be, a quote unquote low effort series, but the only thing that's really low effort about it is editing. This series is supposed to be more of a highlight on my personality and more of a direct reflection of who I am and how I stand on various topics. And I keep saying, I want to work on my communication, but now's the time to really be doing it. And this series, it's a great opportunity to take my scripts to the next level, along with my ability to read off a script. Some people say, I don't really put enough personality into it, and I agree with you, but when you're reading off script, sometimes it can be hard to put personality on it, and I'm trying to get better at that. So even if the goal is to move towards these episodes becoming unscripted, it doesn't mean I can't work on that skill right now to preserve the quality of it all. So even though the first episode of the Weekly Waffle flopped, I'm determined to give the series a good 12-week run to see if it's really worth the time and effort before canning it and working on other projects. But alright boys, that's enough waffling this week. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you didn't, post your criticism and hate speech. I read it all. The next episode of the Weekly Waffle will be all about Varnamore. I'll see you there.